Welcome back, guys. So start that playing. Any hoozle. Sorry if you hear the sweet, sweet sounds of my child in the background. So, another spooky video. But I want to talk about logic and reasoning that I feel like is becoming a dream and fantasy in the world of the paranormal, supernatural. People who want to look into it, just kind of accept anything as true. Not as plausible, but as true. Which, to be clear, is two highly different words. Plausibility and true. And all evidence is not good evidence. In my opinion of evidence, is that all of it is false until reproduced. Which I think is one of the weirdest things that people forget. Using the scientific method should also apply to the paranormal. The idea that if it's not reproduced or just one person showing this evidence or just looking at things at all with a skeptical eye, just thinking of things from the perspective of logic and reasoning. Like I was talking to somebody about the Wendigo or shapeshifters and how they would never go in the woods. And it's a weird thing to me because it's like, yeah, the original folklore was about them being in the woods. But in the modern day, wouldn't it make more sense for something that can shapeshift to hunt in a city? Why would they still be in the woods? So I feel like the odds of them just blending in with the homeless communities is pretty high. And then also, when you look at videos of paranormal things, if you just look with the eye of a skeptic, things become so much more obvious when pictures are not reproduced. When a ghost appears one time for one photo and you never see it again in the entire history of a building. When somebody themselves is producing photos, but then never allows anybody else to come in to ever experience any of the hauntings. When things like this should become obvious to an onlooker. When there's no escalation of, I'm clearly scared of the paranormal and I want to seek help, but nothing ever happens. I think that it should become obvious to you that these people are seeking rather money than their actual fears real. But it seems like the paranormal community just really wants things to be so true that denying any evidence at all to them is denying all evidence. But I would rather propose that by denying bad evidence and filtering to try to find the good evidence, we might actually, maybe one day, find what's real and what's bull. Maybe using a bit of a skeptical eye, we should start looking at things from the lens of a skeptic. Not somebody who doesn't believe, but rather somebody who says, there is a reason to fake these things for financial gain. All the way back to the photographs that used to be faked, to, snake oil salesmen, to crystal ball genies. Not to say that crystal balls never work, but rather to say that, the women who would fake them with projectors that has been rampant across the US and proven to be seen. People who would do seeings and tell you about what your dead relatives would tell you. And we've even had people tell you how they did that. It's just, we've constantly seen how people fake things. And if you had just looked at it at all through the lens of a skeptic, we could see it for what it was. And instead of looking at real evidence and trying to maybe present something that is real, we're just spending all of our time supporting false claims and looking like psychopaths. And maybe I'm not speaking about this as elegantly as I could, because I am running on very little sleep because sick toddler, but the point ultimately I'm making here is, I guess, you know, y'all making us look stupid for believing in the possibility of the unknown, which is a weird thing to say, you know, I don't know, and then look stupid for saying that. Because you support the claims of people who are clearly just trying to get a buck out of you, or a view out of you anymore. So, let's learn together how to view things slightly better as a skeptic, yeah? This is from a TikTok user who is fairly popular. I mean, not blown out of the water, but popular enough to definitely be making some waves. And I'll give you some skeptics in their comment feed, but I mean, why don't people believe this stuff actually happens? So it's, I mean, there's even the next video, I think it's like somebody saying that this is they would love to see somebody prove this false. I'm not sure they were talking about this video or another video. Quite frankly, not positive. But immediately when you look at this video, you have, you know, the crystal clean living room that is completely unlived in, except for it looks like maybe somebody had a snack on the couch. Just pristine. Which, good job on you if this is just how you keep your house. I mean, fine work. Respectable. I've never seen a house that looks like this clean in my entire life, but I'll respect it. But let's take it from the skeptic. Except for the one chair that's out in the middle. But again, their house is said to be haunted. So instead of framing the camera to catch the ghosts, you would assume to catch this one in the box too. You know, the spooky ghost, that haunted doll that looks like it's encased in a box with a cross on it. They have, for some reason, not put the camera to capture this one too, but rather to capture this chair with these two on it, moved it out in the middle of the room. In my opinion, if I know my house is haunted, I would position the camera to capture those two dolls, not move those two dolls in the chair out. But again, maybe they're trying to capture the entire living room. Let's proceed, giving them just a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, that this evidence could, in fact, be factual. But I'm already viewing this with the air of the skeptic, that we have chosen the framing angle that we have, and that the room is in this condition.
What doing?
What am I doing? Making a video. What are you doing?
Like a teddy there.
Mm-hmm. It's Daddy there.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry for the interruption of the toddler. She had escaped from the wife. So anyhow, yeah, we have the perfectly framed chair. Let us proceed. All right, so we have guy walk in with board. I'm going to call it a board. I am not quite sure what it is. Probably a box, but it is in the shape and form of board. All right. And don't know if you guys can hear sound, but chair starts lifting up. So we have a sound, and the chair lifts up. Now, the sound, in my opinion, could be in multiple things. Could be an electromagnet, could be an electric motor, could be a ghost, could be sound effects added, could be a lot of things. Now, I do want to point out, if you look right here, the front of this chair is kind of blurry for no apparent reason to me. I mean, it's not necessarily super hyper noticeable. I will grant that. Maybe it's just a weird spot in the camera. But if you're denying to me that this area right there, more blurry than the rest, okay, sure. But I feel like it is. And I feel like you'd be lying if you said it wasn't. But all right. So now let's go down the line of logic. So it appears to me that the idea here is that they would state they have a poltergeist. Matter of fact, the hashtags over here says poltergeist. So a poltergeist, if you don't know, hold on, is a ghost or other supernatural being supposedly responsible for physical disturbances such as loud noises and objects thrown around. Let's see here. In ghost lore, a poltergeist is a type of ghost or spirit that is responsible for physical disturbances such as loud noises and objects being moved or destroyed. Most claims or fictional descriptions of poltergeists show them as being capable of pinching, biting, hitting, and tripping people. So generally speaking, when you're speaking of a poltergeist, you're speaking of a spirit whose goal it is to purposefully disturb your environment to scare you. Their goal is to remove you from the environment, scare you, harm you. They have a desire to terrify. So the next thought I'm having is, why would this spirit entity wait for the moment that this guy walks out of the room? For dramatic effect for the camera, so we have a ghost that knows about cameras. Okay. It knows it's being filmed, and it waited for the dramatic moment for this guy to leave the room. Alright, that's a red flag to me. I feel like it's more likely that somebody would want views would do that rather than the spirit. But let's assume that you have a ghost that has the flair for the dramatic and knows it's on camera. Because why would a ghost do this when its goal is to scare the human being that was there? Or is it shy from the human being, so it waited for him to walk by? Okay, so maybe the ghost didn't want to do it and didn't want to scare the person. Maybe it's shy from the person, in which case it's not a poltergeist. It's just a ghost. Okay, so maybe it just didn't want to scare the person, right? We'll make the assumption. So we have a blurry chair in a very convenient setting that is awkwardly cleaned. Guy walks by with a piece of wood. Chair doesn't get dropped after he comes back in. So again, awkward timing when it gets lifted up, but doesn't drop back down when he comes back in. So why would it not pick it up before he comes back in, or comes in, but then doesn't? I mean, I know I'm thinking about this too deeply, but also isn't that the whole thing with trying to prove the existence is you're trying to psychologically analyze the evidence that is before you? This is simultaneously completely convenient and inconvenient timing. It's like, why would it not drop it when he's walking back in before he ever sees it if it didn't want him to see it? Why would it continue to hold it up if it's trying to scare him? Why wouldn't it just been up when he walked in? Why wouldn't it lift up and slam down while he was there? Wouldn't that have been more scary? This makes no sense unless it was for the viewer, and in which case, it is more likely, Occam's razor style, to be made by the person who would care about the views, which would not be the ghost, unless this is Casper, who's trying to help them get TikTok famous. And again, blurry there. Okay. So he's tiptoeing over, grabs his plank, piece of wood, and he's waving it over. Okay. So, I pointed out earlier, you notice it's blurrier here. He's only waving it over this half of the chair and never all the way over. My assumption here is that they know they have people saying things are fake. So he's immediately like, I'm going to disprove that there's not a wire over this. Why would you not go all the way over? Why would you not literally go all the way through this? Why would you half do this? This is a very half measure to wave this over. Let's see if he goes, like look at this. This is so happy. There is no reason to not full on do that unless you are trying to avoid something. Even in my wildest dreams of myself doing that, or thinking of somebody else doing that, I cannot imagine a world where I would not throw that board across that chair. If my thought is that I'm trying to show somebody there's not a wire, I would be throwing it all the way around it, all the way over it. I would be doing dances around that thing. Why would you not? Why would you toss it from the same side and land it back on the same side? Why wouldn't you go all the way across? That is such a weird half measure. Like, watch the way he did that. He never crosses, and I didn't see him go halfway, but even if he doesn't go halfway, he never goes all the way around and over the chair. Why wouldn't you go all the way over? And he never goes to the front end where I feel like there's something blurry. Like, look, he goes like forward and then up. That was so weird. Like, that's weird body motions to do unless you're trying to avoid hitting something that you know's there. So nothing has crossed the threshold of where I feel like there's a cord right there. And let's watch that drop. So he was already moving away from the chair before it ever dropped. So it just drops before he, like, it's such a weird timing effect. Like, wouldn't you want to drop the chair when he's like right there, right on top of you as a ghost? Just bam, chair. So my guess is there's a fish wire right here, right about there on the front of this chair. So he could throw the board up over this side. And he didn't ever want to throw it over because he was nervous. And it's about right around here, where it's a little bit blurrier and there's like an odd distortion on the chair at the beginning of the video because they kind of see where it was taped down or something. Going up to something that pulled it up. Maybe a motor. Maybe there's some kind of... Maybe the sound we heard was like the wire getting pulled over something. Really not too sure. But I think the nail in the coffin to me is the way that he waved that board over it. But it was such a weird way he waved that board. Was that the end of it? Or did I mess up the video? So, I mean, yeah, it's just looking at it with this eye of the skeptic. There's no way I would believe that this video is definitely real. At the most, I would say there's a small chance that it is real. And I would say so small. Maybe. And if they let somebody in their house and actual evidence got picked up by like actual paranormal investigators, then I would say, okay. And theirs wasn't super sketchy because, you know, actual paranormal investigators anymore are just as likely to knock on the wall themselves as hear knocking in the house. And every time they see a piece of dust, they go, oh, it's a ghost orb. But I'm saying real, documentable, reproduced evidence. Then I would say, okay, maybe this video is more real than I'm giving it credit for. But there's other people talking about this creator and how they refuse to let people come to their house to do real investigations. So, you know, nice. Anyhow, let's take another look at something else from this. All right, so there is several things I want to point out with this video. And this is by far not the worst video. Here's a red flag of logic and reasoning that I want you guys to think about. And this is something I hear so much that blows my mind that people never ever explain to me. And I ask people and they never can explain to me. Why is there more activity in a basement? Spiritually. Spiritual activity in a basement. Why does that exist? Why ghosties in basements? All right, so if it's a poltergeist, it wants to draw you to the basement to make you more scared. Why would it not just scare you where you are? So, okay, yeah, it could draw you to the basement because you're more creeped out by the basement. Why not just make you more scared of the places you're comfortable? It can do that anywhere. Did the ghost in its life spend more time in the basement? Probably not. Are you in your basement a lot? I doubt it. So if the ghost didn't spend more time in its life while it was in the basement, why would it be haunting the basement? Why is it just because it's like lower in the earth for some reason that makes basement stronger? I doubt that. It's more likely to be where it was in life, which is going to be the main floor of a home, or where you are to haunt you if it is a poltergeist. Or it's going to be where its tether is, which is probably not going to be in the basement unless you are storing old things from the people who left this home in your basement, which if so, get rid of it. That's a weird thing that you're doing. There's no explainable logical reason why a ghost would be more active in your basement besides people find basements spooky, so you make people spooked out by talking about your spooky basement. It is such a logic fallacy to say ghosts are more prevalent in basements to me. The only logical thing I can say is that maybe because you're scared, it'll come down and creep you out there, but it's much more likely to me that people are more heightened and aware because they're not okay. So you're not used to being in your basement. You don't go to your basement very often. So when you do go to your basement, you're more creeped out because it's an environment you're not used to and you're alone and it's dark and it's kind of vaguely just like it's an uncomfortable situation because you're not used to being there. So you're creeped out, so you have a heightened awareness, which means you notice small things, small creaks, which is a thing that happens a lot in a basement. So you're naturally going to be more creeped out by a basement. So you're more likely to think your basement's haunted. But there's no reason for your basement to be haunted. It's 0% reason. So when I see a creator that's like, my basement's haunted, it's always a huge red flag for me. It doesn't make logical sense why a basement would be more haunted than your main house. 0. Again, the only logic reason is if there's a totem down there. Or if a poltergeist wants to get you down there to scare you because you're more scared of your basement on your own, and that's an issue with you. But they have a finished basement, not in this picture right here, but is coming. Trust me, I'll show you. So why would they be creeped out by their basement more? The only logical reason is because you as the viewer find basements creepy. So when they tell you that this is part of their basement, you go, basement. No reason. None. 0% reason for their basement to be more haunted than the main house, except for viewers find basements scary. All right, sorry about that. Had to fix the viewing window a bit.
Okay, guys, you think I've learned my lesson. Down here alone, and I heard something fall. Guitar. There it is.
Oh, I messed up the, hold on.
And I heard something fall. Jamie's guitar.
I don't know how far I need to go back. Hold on.
Okay, guys, you think I've learned my lesson. Down here alone, and I heard something fall.
All right, so creeped out, but was still willing to come down to the basement by herself, and she heard something fall. Okay, so already creeped out.
Jamie's guitar. There it is.
All right, so guitar fell. We've established what fell. We did not see it fall. We did not hear it fall, but there it is, leaned over. It's on the couch. Again, basement is finished. It is daytime outside. You can see through the lights of the window that it is daytime outside. Again, room is completely clean. Ah, toddlers. So anyhow, again, it is daytime. We're down in the basement. Came down by herself because she was creeped out by her noise. Even though it is daytime, we have all of the lights on. So either all of the lights are hooked up to one switch, or we came down, turned all the lights on beforehand to make this video, even though Ann is completely clean, again. And is this the staircase down to the basement over here? Or was the staircase, is there another staircase behind?
Okay.
I mean, I don't know the layout of the house, but it kind of feels like you would have spotted that guitar when you came across here to come over here more obviously. Maybe you did turn on the lights on when you came over this way. But... oh, and look. The dolls aren't normally in those chairs from the last video. In the middle of the room. They're normally sitting there. I don't need to say why that's a thing that you should notice here, right? Like, you guys get that that was staged. Having them in the chair right there. For a video. In this completely clean room. All the time. With all of the lights on in the middle of the day. Okay. Anyhow.
Down here alone, and I heard something fall. Jamie's guitar.
Guitar fell.
Lean.
Alright. Lamp shaking.
Oh shit. Hello?
Alright, so you're by yourself, in a basement, you're creeped out, lamp shaking, and you immediately walk towards it. I am so beyond skeptical. You had to lock the doll in a box with a crucifix on it, but when the lamp shakes, you're walking towards it. I'm calling BS. This is not realistic at all. You would leave immediately and wait until somebody else gets there. Immediately. You have cameras up. You would just use the cameras at this moment. We know there are cameras. You're gone. You're so gone. This is not the behavior of any normal human being. Okay, so we see there's nothing there that would shake it or anything like that. We're purposefully currently debunking the idea that somebody's like, they're shaking it, right? That's what they're doing, is they're showing that there's nobody there to shake it.
Jamie's guitar was sitting like that.
So, again, she just watched that thing shake, and she's taking her own eyes off of it to record herself standing this guitar up with no fear. None. This is not...
I think that's what I heard fall.
Not realistic. Further debunking that there's nothing to have shook in this. Okay.
Guys.
Okay. So, let's go over what could have actually caused this to shake. 1. The cable on that could have been pulled. That cable could run over to where she was standing, and she could have been pulling on that with her foot. That is the easiest one. That is the cheapest, least expensive, easiest way to cause something like this to happen. 2, there could be a vibrator in any of those. In the stand, in the thing itself. Easy day. 3, there could be a magnet inside of that, and there could be somebody behind that wall. Easy day. It's just not that hard to do this. There's also a plethora of other ways to have faked this. There could be another string attached to this besides that cable that we don't see because it's a fishing line. Again, it's just not a hard thing to fake something rattling and then not have evidence of it rattling and moving and shaking. This is a very easy thing to make happen. It would in no way, shape, or form be difficult. She was too shaky and spooked out to remain down here, but she had the full courage to walk over here, take her full eyes off of what was happening, look at the guitar, and set it back up to where it went, even though it didn't matter at all. Could have left beforehand. But needed to prove to us that there was no chance of that
Hey guys, you think I'd...
So again, when you just use a little bit of a skeptical eye on these kinds of things, I hope that maybe you understand why I'm saying what I'm saying now. Maybe just a little bit of perspective on looking at this from the eye of a skeptic. Maybe you'll start doing that with all of your videos, but you'll see that these kinds of videos are just bullshit. Again, maybe this creator let somebody in her house that would actually investigate it. Maybe my toddler's walking up behind me, jump scare me. Alright guys, anyhow, yeah, look at things a little bit more skeptically. All things should be looked at with the eye of a skeptic, and then you should be proven that things are true. So, appreciate you guys watching this one. I hope that I was educational. I also understand why you want things to be true. I do get it. I do believe, but I also believe, again, not that I am required to prove things to be true, but rather that you should prove to me that your thing is true. Because otherwise, you're just taking advantage of people. And that's really harmful and hurtful when you really think about the fact that at the end of the day, a lot of the people in the ghost and spirit community are people who just really miss somebody who passed. And they want spirituality and spirits to be real so that they can in some way be reunited with that person who they've lost. So seeing spiritual things happen in a video makes them think that maybe that loved one is standing just behind them. And even though it's creepy and spooky and fun, sometimes that is a lot of the reason they connect with it. Sometimes they just find it creepy and they're scared for you. Sometimes there's a lot of things. There's a million different reasons that a million different people connect with these kinds of things. But at the end of the day, a lot of them are just faking it for a little bit of bacon. So yeah, guys. I really appreciate being here. Much love. If you have anything else for me to maybe use my skeptical eye on, I'd be happy to do it. I've been told I have a really good skeptical eye. Tell me how I am the horrible person down in the comments, and I'm fine with that. Or let me know what's going on with your life down in the comments, or something else you want me to watch or react to or do. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Much love, guys. Bye.